In 2024, the small town of Livingston, Texas was torn apart by a tragedy that would leave an indelible mark on its community. 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham disappeared on February 15th, never making it to her bus stop. What followed would uncover betrayal, dark secrets, and an unsettling connection to a man the Cunningham family had trusted. Audrii Cunningham was a bright, energetic girl full of life. On that February morning, a day after Valentine's Day, she set off like any other day with Don Stephen McDougal, a family friend who lived in their yard in a trailer. He was responsible for taking her to her bus stop so she could go to school. But Audrii never made it. When Audrii didn't return home, her family grew frantic. Authorities launched a full-scale search hoping to find her safe. But 5 days later, their worst fears were confirmed. Audrii's body was discovered submerged in the murky waters of the Trinity River just outside Livingston. Tied to a rock, her blonde hair matted and stained, she had been brutally murdered, her life stolen by someone she had trusted. We found Audrii Cunningham's body in the Trinity River, tied to a rock. The Polk County, Texas Sheriff claimed, "We found Audrii Cunningham's body in the Trinity River, tied to a rock. The investigation is ongoing, but we are doing everything we can to find those responsible." A store clerk who recognized McDougal from a police flyer knew McDougal was wanted for an unrelated crime and immediately alerted authorities. McDougal was apparently wanted because he stabbed a man in the back who had been helping him repair a car battery. McDougal was arrested and taken into custody. He was processed at the Livingston police station. Detectives then claimed that he was the main suspect responsible in the disappearance of Audrii Cunningham. At first, he denied any involvement with that. But as investigators pressed him for answers, his story began to unravel. His lies only deepened the suspicion surrounding him. McDougal had a violent past. He had been in and out of prison for years, including serving time for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. But McDougal's criminal history didn't stop there. He had been accused of a sex crime involving a 10-year-old girl. He spent 2 years behind bars, but due to a plea bargain, the charge was reduced to a misdemeanor, meaning he wasn't required to register as a sex offender. This also meant he could remain in the area where he was living, avoiding restrictions that this area had of banning sex offenders. One of McDougal's victims was lucky enough to have a gun to defend himself and whack him with. After McDougal's last arrest, he was booked into the Polk County Jail. He was later arraigned there by one of the county's employees, and in an act of bizarre defiance, he refused to wear clothes during this proceeding.
Your charge is capital murder and it's a no bond.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
His refusal to cooperate with authorities only added to the growing animosity from the community. Despite his erratic behavior, McDougal's violent history, particularly his tendency to attack others even with objects, soon came to light. And yet the Cunningham family had given him shelter. Despite knowing about his past, they chose to help him get back on his feet, offering him a place to stay. They had no idea the danger he posed to them, nor the horror he would bring to their lives. One of the family members claimed, "We thought we were doing the right thing, helping him get back on his feet. We didn't know the monster he could become." For the Cunningham family, the pain was unimaginable. They had extended kindness to McDougal, offering him a place to stay. McDougal's violent past and the allegations against him were now impossible to ignore. Authorities had their suspect in custody, and the search for justice begun. Initially facing the death penalty, McDougal's case dragged on for years, but in 2025, after a lengthy legal battle, he reached a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to the murder of Audrii Cunningham and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In exchange, 4 other cases he was facing were dismissed. While McDougal would spend the rest of his life behind bars, there would be no closure for the Cunningham family. The plea deal did nothing to erase the loss of their daughter, and the fact that a man with such a violent history had been trusted by them only added to their pain. Audrii Cunningham's family will never forget the vibrant, joyful girl they lost, and while the legal process may have ended, their grief and the betrayal they felt would last forever. Don Stephen McDougal will spend the rest of his life in prison, but Audrii Cunningham's memory will live on forever as a reminder of a tragic loss and the dangers hidden within those we trust. However, Audrii did not have a healthy life growing up. Her family is known to have been dysfunctional, and she barely had caregivers. If you or someone you know is dealing with trauma or abuse, support is available. Reach out to local organizations to find the help you deserve. Thank you for listening to this episode of Strawberry Inc. Started in February 2025, I will try to release episodes every day. Till next time, goodbye.